Assalamu alaikum and karibu to a new show of Dessert Delights with me, Sanjida Rashid. So today I'm going to show you a different kind of a dessert which is made of bread. It's called Chelsea buns. So for the Chelsea buns, the things that I'm going to be needing is around a quarter cup of sugar. I'm using icing and I've added like a pinch of salt in it. I have around a quarter cup of milk. I have around a quarter tablespoon of butter. I've added a little more because I'm going to need it for the spreading step after, combining everything. Then I have around 1 1/4 cup of flour, white flour. I'm not going to use a whole egg, but I'm going to use at least half of my egg. I have a little cinnamon powder. I have a little mixed fruits. I have some tutti frutti and raisins. I have around a half teaspoon of yeast, and I'm going to use lemon zest, not a lot, just for the flavor, and a little vanilla. So the first step that you need to do for this bun is I'm going to be adding 3 ingredients and I'm going to be melting it in my micro, but I'm not going to be melting it too much. So I'm going to take the quarter teaspoon, which is around maybe say 1/3 cup of my butter. My butter is at room temperature, as you can see. I'm going to add my milk. Now make sure you don't warm this a lot. It should be lukewarm kind of. And my sugar and salt. I'm going to take a spoon. And then I'm going to take this mixture and place it in the micro. You could do this on the stove as well, anything that you prefer. So I'm placing this in the microwave, not for too long. I'm going to start with around 30 seconds. Okay, by the time that gets melted, I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients here that I need. So I have my flour. I have my yeast. I'm going to take a little egg. As I said, I'm not going to be using the whole thing. Around a half. A little vanilla. Okay, I think my stuff is melted. So I've melted it for around 30 seconds and it should be enough. As you can see, my butter, my milk, and everything is melted in together. Now this will be my binding agent. Yeah, I have to add a little of my lemon zest first. Now make sure you only add the outer bit and not the white that's found inside. Because once the white part gets inside, your whole mixture will turn sour. The main flavor lies in the zest that's found outside, the green and yellow color. Okay, I'm not going to be putting a lot. Okay. Then I'm going to add this mixture of mine that I've heated. And I'm going to use it as a binding agent. So I need to use my hands now. And you're going to knead this dough the normal way how you knead any dough. These breads turn out yummy because they have like lots of dry fruits and cherries and all those kind of things. Like you could also add cherries actually. So I'm gonna add more. If you think this mixture will not be enough for kneading your dough, you could always add in some warm water. And we know that if you use warm water, the dough will also rise faster. So I'll see if I need some more warm water. And make sure you use butter, because when you use butter, the bread's taste will also be much better than if you use like margarine. Okay, so I think I'll use a little more of my warm water. I'm just gonna bind this the way you bind normally. Okay, I'm gonna bind it till it forms a whole dough, and then we're gonna come and continue with our next step. So don't go anywhere. We're gonna be back after a short break. Welcome back. So I've kneaded my dough and I've used warm water to knead it, and it needs to be very soft. You can see how my dough is. So you need to knead it enough until it reaches this consistency. Okay, I'm gonna take my dough and now I need to roll it. So I'm gonna take some flour. Okay, and I'm gonna knead it in like a shape of a rectangle. I need it to be long. So you're gonna take your whole dough, okay. Okay, so I think it's enough. It shouldn't be very thin. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first place some butter should be at room temperature again, and I'm gonna spread it. Just roughly spread it. You could also use a brush to spread this, because if your butter is at room temperature, it'll spread very easily. I'm gonna make sure each part is filled. Okay, so that's done. Now, after I've put my butter, I'm gonna take some of my cinnamon powder. I'm gonna sprinkle. Cinnamon has a great aroma, and so it'll give your bread a great, like, you know, taste as well, good smell. So put enough. Now I have some dry fruits, so I'm gonna layer them on one side. If you have more dry fruits, any other dry fruits such as walnuts, cashew nuts, peanuts, you could always add them. So I'm gonna fill half with my nuts, my dry fruits, with some pistachios, almonds. I've added some cashew nuts as well. Okay, I think that should be enough. Okay, and in my other half, I'm gonna add my tutti frutti, my raisins, now you could add some cherries, so you know it gives that red green color to your bread. Okay, that should be enough. Okay, so after that is done, now I need to roll it. So I'm gonna roll it. Just gonna make some space so you can see properly. Okay. So you roll it. Okay. And after you've rolled it, you'll get a log kind. Okay. Now I'm going to be using this mold and I'm going to fill in my Chelsea buns. Now with these buns is that you need to leave them outside until they rise, like to double their size. So you'll see I'll be filling and leaving a little gap. The gap is for the bun to rise, right? So you need to keep this like outside, just covered, not in the oven for it to rise. Until it finishes rises, that's when you place it in the oven. So I'm just gonna cut them first. Okay. You need to leave your dough out, as I said, as long as it needs for it to rise. Now, because I do not have enough time, I won't leave it out for too long, but I suggest you do. So I'm just cutting them. I'm gonna press them out a little bit, okay, and then I'm gonna place them. Okay, so I haven't left a lot of space, but I have left space. You'll see that the dough will rise. I don't know if we'll be able to see it, but trust me that the risen dough will for sure like be seen. And so you'll fill it in the same way and then leave it aside for it to rise, and then we're going to bake it at around 180 degrees. Depends for how long, should take around 10 to 15 minutes, depends on your oven again. And you're going to bake them until they're baked enough, and then I'm going to show you how to top them. So we're going to take a short break and wait until my dough rises, and inshallah maybe if we'll see it rise enough, I'll show it to you, and if we don't, then I'm sure that if you have enough time at home, please let it be and let it rise and then bake it. So we're going to take a short break, don't go anywhere.
يا حيدر يا حيدر واليناك واليناك يا حيدر يا حيدر باياناك يا حيدر يا حيدر واليناك واليناك يا حيدر يا حيدر باياناك يا حيدر يا حيدر واليناك واليناك يا حيدر يا حيدر بايعنا وبيك آمنا للحب اكثر بالجنة بايعنا وبيك آمنا للحب اكثر بالجنة يا حيدر يا حيدر يا حيدر يا حيدر اسمك مطبوع في دلالي يا مولاي حاء ويا ودال وراء اسمك مطبوع في دلالي يا مولاي حاء ويا ودال وراء سبحان آية اسمك يا الغالي آية آمالي نبض الدلالي بنبض الدلالي اسمك يا الغالي حبينا يا حيدر يا حيدر ما ننساك ما ننساك يا حيدر يا حيدر حبينا حبينا يا حيدر يا حيدر ما ننساك ما ننساك يا حيدر يا حيدر كنا بضي ردد حبنا للحب درب الجنة كنا بضي ردد حبنا للحب درب الجنة يا حيدر يا حيدر يا حيدر يا حيدر ضايعنا ضايعنا يا حيدر يا حيدر واليناك واليناك يا حيدر يا حيدر ضايعنا ضايعنا يا حيدر يا حيدر واليناك واليناك يا حيدر يا
Welcome back. So although I didn't have enough time, but when you'll see your breads and when you know that they've risen enough is you'll see that there'll be no spaces. I have spaces. They have risen a little bit, you can see, but because of lack of time I'm gonna be placing them in the oven from now, but you should not. But before I place them in the oven, I'm just gonna take some of my egg that was left. Remember the half egg that we used? I'm just gonna take a little of my egg and brush it on top. I'm not gonna put so much, I'm just putting a little bit just for the shine. So just place like, just, you know, I don't wanna put so much. Okay, so that should be enough. So I've put some egg on top just for the shine, and after this step I'm going to be placing this in my oven. It won't take too long for these breads to like rise and cook. So you'll see a small brown tint on top and you'll know that your bread is ready. So I'm going to be placing this in the oven and waiting for around 10-15 minutes. I'm going to show you a little topping. So a little topping in which you can, like, you know, decorate your breads and stuff, and then our dessert will be ready. Don't forget to preheat your ovens. I suggest you do it at the step, you know, when you're melting your butter and your sugar and your milk in the micro or on the stove. I suggest you switch on your oven at that time, so it needs to be heated enough for the breads to bake. Or you could switch it on a little later, as long as you know that your oven's going to heat up enough. So I'm going to wait for a few minutes until my breads are baked, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish up. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back. So my buns are already baked. You can see how they look. Although if you leave them outside, you'll see no spaces with your buns because they'll have risen enough. But this is what color that you want to achieve. Like, it shouldn't be very dark. Very light tint of brown on top. Now I have a little white chocolate that I've melted. All I'm going to do is, like, you know, design it on top of my breads. Now you could do this with white chocolate, you could do this with icing sugar, like, you know, make a syrup kind with icing sugar and then place it on top. Take around like say a cup of icing sugar and around like 2 tablespoons of milk, although that'll be a lot in quantity, but you could reduce it, and then it's like it forms like a thick mixture which you pour on top of your buns. I prefer using chocolate, so I normally do this. You could basically do any design that you want, any way. Okay, so that's done. Okay, so I've used greaseproof paper, as you can see. So I'm just gonna lift it up. When you use greaseproof paper, the advantage is, like, you know, you don't need to grease a lot, and when you want to take your buns out, they come out very easily. Like you see, there's no need of like, you know, turning your whole thing around, and you know. So I'm just gonna remove it. So you can see my buns, and just take them out. It's so simple and so fast, not something that takes a lot of time. And if you eat them like warm and hot, they taste really good. So as soon as they're out of the oven, when you're done decorating them, you can, like, you know, serve them. Because baking doesn't take long as well. Mine took around like 10 to 12 minutes. So my Chelsea buns are ready and ready to be served. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's show and will for sure try this dessert. They're yummy in taste, and don't forget to watch IBN TV and Dessert Delights. Thank you.
بيانك بيانك يا حيدر يا حيدر واليناك واليناك يا حيدر يا حيدر بيانك بيانك يا حيدر يا حيدر واليناك واليناك يا حيدر يا حيدر بيانك بيانك يا حيدر يا حيدر واليناك واليناك يا حيدر يا حيدر بايعنا وبيك آمنا للحب اكثر بالجنة بايعنا وبيك آمنا للحب اكثر بالجنة يا حيدر يا حيدر يا حيدر يا حيدر اسمك مطبوع في دلالي يا مولاي حاء ويا ودال وراء سبحان آية اسمك مطبوع في دلالي يا مولاي حاء ويا ودال وراء سبحان آية اسمك يا الغالي آية آمالي نبض الدلالي بنبض الدلالي اسمك يا الغالي آية آمالي نبض الدلالي نبض الدلالي حبينا حبينا يا حيدر يا حيدر ما ننساك ما ننساك يا حيدر يا حيدر حبينا حبينا يا حيدر يا حيدر ما ننساك ما ننساك يا حيدر يا حيدر النبض يردد حبنا للحب اكثر بالجنة النبض يردد حبنا للحب اكثر بالجنة